Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, there is this pervasive feeling right now, I feel it, my friends feel it, that parenting has moved from being a role you play to a high-stakes strategic management position.
Yes.
It feels like we're trying to manage a startup, but the startup is a small human being, and the market conditions are just completely chaotic.
It's the professionalization of childhood. And the stakes feel incredibly high because the world feels so uncertain.
Exactly. And for decades, if you wanted to win at this game, if you wanted to ensure your startup succeeded, there was a cheat code.
There really was.
There was one specific style of parenting that every psychologist, every book, every expert agreed was the gold standard. You didn't even really have to think about it. You just did authoritative parenting.
It is the undisputed heavyweight champion of child development literature. If you look at the last, 50 years of research, authoritative parenting is the one that consistently correlates with the outcomes we all want.
Better grades, better social skills.
Less depression, lower delinquency. It was the safe bet.
But today, we are going to do something that might make some listeners a little uncomfortable. We're going to look at a new piece of analysis by Ryan Collison that suggests this safe bet. Well, it might actually be the wrong wager for the future we're heading into.
It's a fascinating argument. Collison isn't saying authoritative parenting is bad. He's saying it might be obsolete.
Obsolete, wow.
He argues that the gold standard has a fatal design flaw that we've completely missed because we've been looking at the data through the wrong lens.
So the mission for this deep dive is to unpack that flaw. We're going to look at why the best parenting style might be failing us in the 2020s and 30s, and then we're going to walk through the replacement model Collison proposes.
He calls it epistemically humble parenting.
Which is a bit of a mouthful, but the concept is revolutionary.
It really forces you to rethink the entire job description of a parent.
Before we get to the new model, we have to ground ourselves in the old one. Let's define our terms, because when we say authoritative parenting, I think a lot of people mix it up with authoritarian.
Huge difference.
And those are very different vibes.
Yes, let's clear that up immediately. In the psychological literature, parenting usually sits on two axes, warmth and structure.
Okay, so like a graph.
Exactly. If you have high structure but low warmth, so lots of rules, very little love or explanation, that is authoritarian.
That's do what I say because I said so.
Precisely. It's rigid, it's cold, and it tends to produce kids who are either rebellious or, fearful.
Right. And then the opposite would be high warmth, low structure.
That's permissive. That's the cool parent who wants to be the best friend. Do whatever you want. I just want you to be happy.
The problem there is the child never learns boundaries or self-regulation.
So authoritative is the sweet spot.
Top right corner.
High warmth, high structure. It's, I love you, I support you, but here are the rules, and crucially.
Here's why those rules exist.
Yes. It treats the child as a rational being who can understand the logic behind the boundaries.
And that sounds perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, treating kids with respect, explaining the why, having high expectations, but lots of love. It makes total sense. It sounds like good management.
It does.
So where is the flaw? What is Collison attacking here?
He's attacking the structure part, or rather the assumption behind the structure.
Okay.
See, authoritative parenting operates on a hidden premise. It assumes the parent knows the best path forward.
Which, historically, we sort of did, or at least we pretended to.
Well, you have to go back to the source. The researcher Diana Baumrind first defined this style in 1966. Think about the world in 1966.
Okay, 1966, post-war economic boom. Cold War stability in a weird way.
Yeah.
If you're in the middle class, yeah, the path was pretty clear.
It was legible. You could see the steps, high school, college, corporate job, pension, retirement.
A linear progression.
In that environment, a parent could reasonably say, I know how the world works. If you follow these rules, do your homework, respect your elders, follow the curriculum, you will succeed.
So in a stable world, authoritative parenting is basically an efficiency engine.
Exactly.
It's a way to download the rules of success from the parent's brain into the child's brain.
That's it. Collison calls it a knowledge transmission model dressed up as a relationship style.
Oof, that's a heavy critique. Knowledge transmission dressed up as a relationship. That makes it sound so transactional.
It's not that the love isn't real. The love is absolutely real. But think about what structure usually means in this context. It means guiding the child towards specific outcomes.
Take these classes because they lead to this degree.
Behave this way because it impresses this type of boss.
Well,
delay gratification now for this specific reward later. That works beautifully if the parent's map matches the territory the child is going to navigate.
But if the territory changes, The map isn't just useless, it's misleading.
Or worse, the map is dangerous. And that's the core of the argument. We are no longer in 1966. We aren't even in 2016. We are facing what Paulison calls the prediction problem.
This is the part that keeps me up at night. The sheer amount of unknowns. We talk about this on the show all the time. AI, climate, geopolitical shifts.
It's staggering. We don't know what the economy will look like in 2040. We don't know which industries will be wiped out by automation. We don't know if a college degree will be a golden ticket or just expensive wallpaper.
I was thinking about this the other day. If you asked a parent in 1990 to predict the most valuable job skills of 2024, they would have said things like typing or rote memorization of facts.
Maybe learning to use a library card catalog.
Exactly. They wouldn't have said prompt engineering or creating short-form video content or managing a remote team across 3 time zones.
Right. So imagine if that parent in 1990 had been rigidly authoritative. If they had enforced high structure around the wrong skills, like forcing their kid to memorize encyclopedias because that's how you get smart, they would have actually handicapped their child.
This is where Collison uses that phrase theater. He says rigid structure in an uncertain world becomes theater.
Confident guidance toward an uncertain target. That's the line that really stuck with me.
It stings, doesn't it? It implies we are performing parenting rather than actually doing it.
We're acting.
We are acting out the role of a knowing elder when we actually have no idea what's going on.
Well, imagine you are a guide on a hiking trip. If you have a map and the trail hasn't changed in 50 years, you can be very authoritative. Turn left at the big oak tree.
Sure.
But if a landslide has wiped out the trail and the forest is on fire and you're still standing there saying, turn left at the big oak tree because that's what the map says, you aren't leading, you're acting.
And the kids know it. That's the other thing. Kids are so perceptive.
That is the critical point. Collison points out that the grades to college to career pipeline, which was the backbone of middle-class parenting for decades, is visibly fracturing.
Children see this. They see the 23-year-old on TikTok making more money in a month than their teacher makes in a year.
They see people with master's degrees working gig jobs. They see that the inputs, hard work, good grades, don't automatically guarantee the outputs anymore.
And this creates a whole new kind of conflict.
It really does. In 1966, if a kid rebelled against the structure, it was usually just teenage rebellion. I don't want to do my homework. Today, if a kid rebels against the structure, they might actually be making a rational economic calculation.
So when a parent insists, you have to do this worksheet because it matters for your future, and the kid looks at the world and sees that it doesn't matter.
The trust breaks. The high warmth part of the equation can't save you if the high structure part is built on lies.
The parent looks out of touch.
And once a child realizes their parent's map is outdated, they stop following the guide entirely.
So if the model is broken, why are we still clinging to it? Why is every book still preaching authoritative parenting? Is it just habit?
Inertia, mostly. It's safe. But Collison suggests we need to reevaluate the research itself. We need to look at what we are actually measuring when we say this parenting style works.
Okay, let's dig into the data. When the studies say authoritative parenting produces successful kids, how are they defining success?
Usually 3 things: academic achievement, social competence, and behavioral compliance.
I mean, those sound good. I want a kid who is smart, has friends, and behaves. Who doesn't?
They are good. But look closer. Notice a pattern. They are all measures of institutional fit.
Institutional fit.
Academic achievement measures how well you navigate the school system. Behavioral compliance measures how well you follow authority. Social competence is often measured by how well you fit into existing peer structures.
So these metrics tell us how well a child functions inside the current machine.
They measure how good a cog you are.
Harsh, but yeah.
They measure fit, not future-proofing. They don't measure how adaptable you are if the machine breaks down. They don't measure if you can reinvent yourself when your industry disappears. They measure if you are good at following rules that exist today.
Well, wait, there was a 4th outcome mentioned in the source material, one that actually does seem to matter regardless of the era.
Yes. Emotional regulation. Authoritative parenting consistently produces kids who can handle their emotions better.
And this is where the nuance comes in, right? Because Collison argues that this benefit doesn't come from the structure.
Correct. The research suggests that emotional regulation comes from the relational component, the warmth, the responsiveness, the co-regulation, the feeling of safety.
So we've been giving the rules credit for what the love was actually doing.
That's the argument. We thought the strict bedtime and the homework checks were building character.
But really, it was just the fact that we were there, engaging with them, that built the resilience.
Exactly. The structure was just the delivery mechanism for the relationship. But now that the specific structure of the old map is failing, we need a new delivery mechanism.
Enter epistemically humble parenting.
Right.
Now, I have to be honest. When I first heard humble parenting, I panicked a little. It sounds like giving up. It sounds like letting the inmates run the asylum.
I don't know anything, you figure it out. And Collison is very careful to distinguish this from permissive parenting. This is not about abandonment. It's not, good luck, kid, figure it out. That would be negligence.
So what is it? How do you lead if you don't know where you're going?
It's a remix. You keep the high warmth, you keep the high responsiveness, you never compromise on the emotional connection,
Okay.
but you change your relationship with the structure. You hold the structure loosely.
Hold the structure loosely. What does that look like in practice on a Tuesday night?
It starts with the name, epistemically humble. Epistemic means related to knowledge. It means admitting that your knowledge of the future is limited.
You means looking your kid in the eye and saying, I don't know.
Yes. And that is terrifying for parents. We are conditioned to feel like we need to be the authority to keep them safe. But Collison argues that in an uncertain world, I don't know is actually the most trustworthy thing you can say.
Because it's the truth.
It's the truth. Instead of saying, follow this path and you will be safe, you say, I don't know exactly what the future holds, but I am here to help you build the skills to navigate whatever comes.
You shift from being a commander giving orders to being a co-pilot reading the instruments.
Or a base camp. You are the place they come back to for supplies and safety, but you aren't radioing in every turn they need to make on the mountain because you can't see the mountain anymore.
This leads us to the practical application. If we aren't focusing on content, if we aren't focusing on specific grades, specific colleges, specific career paths, what are we focusing on?
We focus on capacity.
Because we still have to parent. We can't just stare at each other.
This is the key distinction in the entire deep dive. Content versus capacity.
Content is the what, capacity is the how.
Right. Content is you need to know calculus. Content is you need to be a lawyer. Capacity is you need to know how to learn things that are hard. Capacity is you need to be able to argue effectively.
The source lists 5 specific capacities. These are the transferable skills that work in 2026, 2036, or in a Mad Max wasteland.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's run through these.
Yeah.
Because this is really the checklist for the new model.
Right.
This is what we should be authoritative about.
Let's do it.
Number 1, emotional regulation skills. We touched on this. But how is this different in the new model?
In the old model, regulation often meant suppression. Be quiet, sit still, don't cause a scene. In the humble model, it means processing.
Okay.
Can you handle distress without collapsing? If the economy crashes or you lose your job to an algorithm, do you spiral or can you regulate your anxiety enough to make a plan?
So we prioritize teaching them to manage stress over teaching them to avoid stress.
Precisely. We stop trying to clear the road for them and start preparing the child for the road.
Number 2, relationship competence.
This is big. No matter what the future looks like, AI, remote work, whatever, humans will still need to deal with humans. And this isn't just being polite, it's deep competence. Repairing a bond after a fight, collaborating with difficult people, building a network of trust.
That's interesting because being polite is often about compliance. Repairing a bond is about agency. It's active.
Exactly. It's active, not passive. It's about knowing how to work within a tribe.
Number 3, learning agility.
This is the antidote to the pipeline problem. If you train to be a coder and coding disappears, you are obsolete. But if you have learning agility, you just pivot.
You just learn the next thing.
It's the ability to acquire new skills rapidly when the old ones fail.
It's valuing the ability to learn over the thing that is learned.
Yes. A parent focusing on this wouldn't ask, what grade did you get on the test? They would ask, how did you figure out that problem? Or what was the hardest part to understand?
Yeah.
You're reinforcing the process of learning, not the result.
Number 4, uncertainty tolerance. This feels like the hardest one for parents to model because we are so anxious ourselves.
Because we hate uncertainty. But our kids need to be able to function when the map is blank. Can you make a decision when you only have 40% of the information? Can you move forward when you don't know the outcome?
How do you even teach that?
You stop solving every problem for them. When they come to you with a dilemma, instead of giving the answer, you ask, well, what are your options? What happens if you pick A? What happens if you pick B?
You let them sit in the discomfort of not knowing. We have to let them struggle. That goes against every instinct in my body.
We have to. If we smooth the path, we rob them of the ability to walk on rough terrain, and the future is going to be very rough terrain.
And finally, number 5, self-correction.
The ability to notice when you are wrong and update your mental model. In a rapidly changing world, being stubborn is a death sentence.
This is the opposite of stick to your guns.
Right. We often praise grit or perseverance, but sometimes perseverance is just digging a deeper hole in the wrong place. We need to teach kids to say, my assumption was wrong, I'm changing course, without feeling like a failure.
That is a superpower.
Totally.
What really strikes me about this list, regulation, relationships, agility, uncertainty, self-correction, is what's not there.
No specific curriculum.
No specific curriculum. No must know Python. No must speak Mandarin. No must go to Ivy League.
Because those are bets on a specific future. Those are bets that the world of 2035 will value Python or Mandarin. We don't know that. The 5 capacities are a hedge against any future.
It's an investment strategy. We're moving from a high-risk bet on a single stock to a diversified portfolio.
That's a perfect analogy. And notice that institutional compliance fitting in is not on the list. In fact, Collison suggests that being too good at fitting into today's broken institutions might be a liability tomorrow.
Right. If you are great at following rules in a factory and the factory closes, you're in trouble.
Exactly.
So bringing it all back together, we aren't saying throw out the gold standard entirely. We aren't saying authoritative parenting is dead.
No, we are decoupling it.
The warmth, the love, the support, the responsiveness, that is eternal. That never goes out of style.
Keep that at 100%. Kids will always need to feel safe.
But the structure, the rules, the specific path, that needs to change from a rigid map to a flexible compass.
The gold standard still shines. It just shines on a world that is passing. We need a light for the world that is coming.
I have to admit, though, this sounds infinitely harder than the old way.
Oh, it's much harder.
It's so easy to say, you're grounded because you got a C. It is clear. It is actionable. Everyone knows the rules.
Right.
But how do you enforce uncertainty tolerance? You can't ground a kid for not being agile. You can't give a timeout for lack of self-correction.
You can't enforce capacities. You can only model them and cultivate them. And that puts the pressure back on the parent.
We have to walk the walk.
If you freak out every time things don't go according to plan, you can't teach uncertainty tolerance. If you never apologize or admit you were wrong, you can't teach self-correction. If you fall apart when you're stressed, you can't teach emotional regulation.
So epistemically humble parenting is actually a self-improvement program for the parent, disguised as a parenting style.
In a way, yes. It requires you to trust the child's adaptation instincts more than you trust your own outdated map. And that requires a massive letting go of ego.
You have to look at your kid and say, I trust you to figure this out, instead of, I will figure this out for you.
And that is the ultimate act of respect, which, ironically, brings us back to the heart of what authoritative parenting was supposed to be in the first place: respecting the child as an individual.
We're just updating how we show that respect. We show respect now by admitting we don't have all the answers.
Exactly.
This has given me so much to think about regarding my own parenting. It's scary, but it feels honest.
It's the only honest option left. If you pretend to know the future, you're lying. And your kids will figure that out eventually.
I want to leave the listener with this final thought from the source material. The question isn't whether to be authoritative. We should be. But the question is, can you be authoritative about the things that actually transfer those internal capacities, while staying humble about the external outcomes you can't predict?
Can you be strong on the inside skills, but loose on the outside goals? That's the challenge.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Whether you are raising a human, teaching one, or just trying to reparent yourself for this crazy world, I think this distinction between content and capacity is a game changer.
Absolutely. It applies to all of us. See you next time.
Thanks, everyone.